It is late in the Third Era, after the warp in the West, the so-called Miracle of Peace. But before the fall of the living gods of Morrowind, the Empire was seemingly more stable than it had been in decades, under the rule of Uriel Septim VII. However, despite the rest of the Empire coming together, the people of Cyrodiil reeling at the revelation bestowed by an unnamed Blades agent. This revelation that there may be Daedra taking on the form of men in an age when Mundus was supposed to be protected from oblivion. Doppelgangers in high positions of power, placed there by the now dead arch-traitor to the Empire, Jaeger Tharn. However, unaware of this civil unrest, three adventurers would travel to Cyrodiil for different reasons. Welcome, one and all, to the Elder Scrolls tabletop game with the FudgeMuppets. The young Dunmer wizard of the Telvanni, having left his home in Port Telvannis, Morrowind, on invitation from the Archmage of the Arcane University. Born under the sign of the Apprentice, he has a far larger magicka reserve than most, and is an expert in the illusions school, with lesser studies in mysticism and alteration, as well as training in firebolt as a last resort. He is generally an arrogant bastard. The Argonian Shadow Hunter, originally a hunter of animals in Blackmarsh, he became a hunter of elves and men, and in doing so found himself in the position of a freelance assassin, seeking new prey and new challenges away from the place of his birth. Rumors brought him to Cyrodiil as a place where you can find anything the Empire has to offer. Born under the sign of the Lord, he has command over the dagger, other forms of short blade, and throwing weapons. His acrobatic skill is second to none. Always eager for a new challenge, cunning and guile are his preferred methods. Nobody really knows what he's planning at any given moment. A man of high ideals, this Breton knight grew up in a bookstore and learned much. He read history books and grimoires alike. Knighted after slaying a werewolf during his first expedition as an adventurer, he was given leave to explore Tamriel in his youth. That exploration has brought him to the center of the Empire, to see justice done, to gain new experiences along the way. Born of the Lord's sign, he is especially skilled in melee combat, using halberds and general pole weapons, but not above using a sword when he has to. In addition, he has a fair amount of knowledge regarding conjuration and the summoning of creatures from oblivion, specifically having learned the polearm after having learned to summon a Daedric polearm in the form of a bound weapon. His quick success and home-skilled youth has left him somewhat awkward, but well-meaning. He isn't quick to anger, but when he sets his mind to something, he will see it through. It was a dark and stormy night of the highest cliché. The three would arrive in Cyrodiil from separate directions. Somehow in the storm, none of them made it to the Imperial City, and instead ended up in an obscure inn in the wilderness. A relief from the constant downpour and winds that had assailed them for nearly a full day on their journey. Little did they know that spending the night in this inn would put them in the middle of a large conflict, and that they would be sharing the inn with possibly the most annoying elf in all of Tamriel.
Hello.
How's it going?
What's up? Zarek the God, the Game Master.
We have Michael. Who are you playing?
I am playing Raljik Tar, an Argonian, from Blackmarsh, of course.
Alright, Scott, who are you playing?
I'm playing Revan Serethi, a Dark Elf Telvanni dude from Morrowind.
And Drew?
I am Sir Coltane Bouchard, and I am a knight, a Breton knight from Camlorn.
Oh.
Camlorn is in the northern regions of High Rock, and yeah, it's a pretty nice place.
So, what we've got here is a adaptation of the Elder Scrolls universe. What does that mean? Well, it's a little bit bigger than it would be in the game, as in, getting around the Imperial City might take you an entire day, for instance. Keep that in mind, some things will be different, but a lot of interesting stuff went on that wasn't really well explored, so what we're gonna do is we're going to go ahead and throw these people into the thick of what is essentially a fan fiction occurring during that time.
I'm gonna walk out of my room and go up into this, sit at the table here, next to the other table.
As you walk into this room, you see a small Bosmer, looks a bit fidgety. He has an ale, but he isn't really drinking it, he's just kind of poking at it. Behind him, in the corner, there looks to be a fairly strong orc. He looks burly, he's covered in all kinds of various adornments like a wolf head on the left and a bear head on the right. He looks really, really strong, but he's just sitting there, in the corner of the room against the wall. He's not doing anything, really. He seems to be aware of you, but he ain't doing much. The fidgety elf, on the other hand, kind of looks at you and back to his drink.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna sit down and can I order a drink? Is there a drink
There
anywhere?
is a bar to the north of you, but for some reason, the bartender seems to be absent. It looks like the bottles are still there. I mean, it really depends on what those two think, but there's nothing stopping you from just going and doing what you want, apparently.
All right, so I'm getting up from my seat here. I'm going up to the bar, and I look for some Sujamma, but there is none because we're in Cyrodiil. Filthy Noirs.
You find a fairly high-quality Nordmead, but you also find this really weird-looking purple bottle, which says mead on it, but, it puts out a questionable smell.
Actually, I am a wizard, so I do like to experiment and learn stuff. So I'm gonna drink the purple one. I'm gonna take the purple one.
He's gonna die immediately.
All right, I'm gonna pour into like a little shot and just have the tiniest little sip, just to sort of smell it a bit first, and it smells K. I'll try it, and then I just have a tiny little sip, barely enough to even lather the tongue.
Well, it burns the tongue slightly, but it doesn't seem to your senses, just from the minor taste, to be poison.
All right, well, I'll step up my game a bit and have a little bit more.
All right, so you are completely unfazed by this stuff. It kind of goes down with a burning sensation. I mean, a lesser Dunmer would be knocked out by this probably, but you just take it like a pro, and no problem.
So I'm going to stroll casually out into the main room of the tavern, and I see the Telvanni wizard having a sip of his purple drink and think, that's probably a bit too hardcore for me. I think I'll get along more with someone who's drinking an ale. So without actually quite realizing the situation and how fidgety he is, I'm going to go and take a seat opposite him and try to spark up a little conversation. So I'll probably crack a joke to start off, wondering why he's not taking a sip from his ale. I'll say something like, oh, so the beer's that bad here, is it?
Well, it could be worse. I have to say, I'm not too enthusiastic about what's been going on lately. Have you seen the bartender?
Oh,
have you?
I haven't.
Have you seen him?
No, I've just walked out of my room, so I figured you or this orc gentleman in the corner must have been the bartender.
No. I'm Faldorth, and that guy over there, he's Baron. He doesn't talk very much, though. He's pretty quiet. The elf looks over at the orc, Balron. Balron just doesn't even return his gaze. He gives zero shits about this little about this little fidgeter.
I'm gonna walk out into the bar like everybody else, except I am going to take a little adventure into where the bartender's kind of bar/storage area is, and see if I can find anything else that's of interest.
Okay, so you successfully sneak past the tables behind the bar. The orc showed no interest in looking for you or anyone else, so he's not in the equation. And the elf is just kind of fidgeting between the drink and Coltane. Although Coltane did notice you, the Telvanni wizard did not. While you're back there behind the bar, you do notice a small dagger. Doesn't seem worth anything. It's just sitting there. And there's also a small bag of coins. Apparently 25 drakes just sitting there, as if the bartender wasn't expecting to leave or something. You know, he didn't take his money with him, that's for sure. The beverages that are on the table, on the top, there are various beverages. There is an ale, there's a couple, looks like homemade brews. Other than that, it seems to be pretty normal fare. There is a liquor cabinet over on the west wall of this particular alcove that you're in right now.
I'm going to investigate that.
The liquor cabinet's locked, but you can definitely see through the glass into several bottles of Cyrodiilic brandy. We're talking the expensive stuff. There is a rug under you. There are several tapestries on the walls. As you look around, you do notice that on the northeast corner, there is a hole in the wall, and it looks like there's a little bit of sunlight coming through, but it seems to be reflected off of the ground. Like, the sun isn't facing that direction right now.
But I'm just going to look at the hole.
Out of the hole, you see 4 soldiers. They look like knights, along with one bearded man behind them. They don't seem to notice that you're there. They seem to be on alert. They've got a glacial gaze, but it seems to be going somewhere else, not at the building.
I'm gonna start by taking another sip of my drink, because I'm sitting there alone, and I'm surveying I survey the room, and I'm not impressed. I'm sort of largely uninterested. I'm gonna sit there while enjoying my drink and just watch the rather awkward conversation that's happening on the table beside.
Okay, so with everything that's going on and my short attention span, I think I'm going to realize that no one in this bar seems to have anything to do with the establishment. So I'm going to wrap up this quite, as Revan said, quite awkward conversation, and make an excuse to go and get a drink from the bar, where I'm going to try to figure out what this obscure Argonian is up to. So I'm going to wander over to the bar, but I'm not going to go behind the bar. I'm going to stay in front of it and maybe play myself off as innocent and ask him, talk to him as if he works there and just see what he's up to. Hello there, friend. What exactly are you up to behind there? Is it you I go to get a drink?
No.
Oh, not a very talkative one. I see. Do you need a hand with anything? Is that a hole?
No.
You're saying that's not a hole. So are you a master of illusion magic or something like that? Because I swear I see a hole.
You don't want to go out there! The elf exclaims suddenly. There's some not very good stuff going on there. I really would recommend against it. That's all.
I appreciate that advice, but I'd really like to know what's going on here. You know what? I'm not going to go outside, but I might wander over towards the hole to have a little look for myself.
Well, I would recommend just not getting anyone's attention at all. Just a very, very, very minor, and don't overthink it, but there might be a small, tiny... And the orc suddenly pipes in, civil war. Yeah, civil war. No! The small domestic dispute going on.
So you guys are taking refuge from this, or are you involved somehow?
I'm not involved. I don't know who said I was involved. What are you talking about?
You seem awfully shifty for someone who's got nothing to do with this.
Look, okay, the Duke's men, they may not like me very much. He's the Duke of the Keep. He just doesn't like me, okay? He has it in for me. And,
So they're here for you?
No, they're not here for me. They're fighting each other. It's not a big deal. We just need to stay in here until they're done.
Someone get rid of the elf with the insufferable voice. I yell out from the...
Hey now, the orc says from behind the tables there. The Duke's men are actually fighting the Imperial forces. It was, as I said, a civil war.
So are you this elf's bodyguard, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't know why he keeps wandering around wherever I am, but it seems like wherever I go, he's there.
To say to the Telvanni wizard, can I have the rest of this?
Hell no, you filthy lizard. I saw you sneaking around behind the bar. Stay away from me.
I swear, the people these days, I was sneaking around, I was doing shifty things.
I'm gonna go sit next to sit right next to him and look at him extremely menacingly.
He takes a step to the side and grabs his drink.
I'm gonna move a bit closer and end my turn.
A great thundering boom is heard from outside the inn, and everything shakes a bit. Well, they're starting up again, it seems, the orc said, scratching the back of his head for a moment, resuming his original position of looking down, not caring about anything.
I'm gonna get up and see what the hell's going on outside, because it's, the elf is insufferable, and I don't want to share a room with a dirty lizard. Couldn't care about the charmless Breton in the corner over at the bar who consistently stirs up awkward conversations, so I might want to avoid that. So I'm just gonna go for the front door. So I'm walking up to the front door, so what's happening?
The front door seems to be broken. Resting on one hinge, it looks like it's just gonna fall open at any moment. The smell of ash and soot, I mean, I imagine for a Dunmer it would be pretty not out of the ordinary, but it definitely isn't something you expect to smell in Cyrodiil. But it's very, very strong as soon as you get near the door.
Wander over to kind of look over his shoulder, but I'm not going to go through the mess of people. I'll go around the side and kind of just, be wary, but look over his shoulder and maybe chime in and say, Dunmer, do you have any idea what that is? What's going on there?
What looks like the silhouettes of figures moving back and forth. There is definitely a rank odor of what it smells like burning shrubs and whatnot. There isn't anything you can hear necessarily, but there's definitely people moving outside and there's definitely burning going on.
A typical night, and walk up to him and kind of give him a reaffirming pat on the shoulder and say, "Let me handle this."
Don't touch me, human.
Apologies. I just want to check out what's going on. Trust me, you can rely on me. I'm a knight.
I sort of snidely just sort of turn away and just let him sort of move out of the way to let him go out the door.
As you approach the door, it is hot, but there appears to be no evidence of fire actually touching the door. And then there is another explosion. Everything you can barely make out through the crack between the door and the door frame is just shrubs moving against this force. The force doesn't seem to come into the inn, but the smell of burning gets much, much stronger as this occurs. And it doesn't seem to shake the inn this time, but you can definitely feel hot air coming through.
I get up off the floor. While they're distracted, I'm just gonna go and get that money that was in the bar before.
While everyone's distracted, you go and you take the money. There doesn't seem to be any reaction from the orc or the elf who is now hanging against the table. There doesn't seem to be anything else going on over here, and you pretty much exhausted everything except for that expensive-looking liquor cabinet.
Okay, I am going to take a guess that key was in the tapestries.
There are 3 tapestries. They seem to be spread out evenly.
I'll take the left one.
All right, so you do find the key in the left one. It's right behind it. It's sitting kind of on a shelf of brick behind the tapestry. It's filthy. It clearly hasn't been taken out in some time because, you know, as dirty as the shelf is, the key is just as dirty.
Go and unlock that cabinet.
Your hand is now filthy from having touched this grimy key, but you unlock the cabinet, no problem. There appear to be 3 Cyrodiilic brandies.
I'm just going to take one of them. I'm just going to kind of walk back to the middle of the tables and look over at... sort of just watch over everyone's back and see what happens next.
The elf pipes up going, you don't want to go out there. I'm telling you, it's just a minor civil disagreement. It'll be over very, very soon. No, it won't, the orc replied, getting up and kind of walking away from the open door, but maintaining distance where he can kind of lean against the wall and watch you guys.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually cast a barrier to protect myself because I'm sick of this bloody tavern.
You successfully cast the barrier effortlessly. It takes almost no magicka to use, and you are protected from physical harm.
Now I'm gonna push at the door. Is the door giving resistance?
As you push at the door, it falls off the last hinge and breaks. The now non-existent door gives way. The morning is clearly there, but there's a kind of reddish hue in the distance, which doesn't make very much sense.
So I walk out. What's the my immediate surroundings?
As you step outside, a legion of Imperial guards, as well as a couple battle mages, all surrounding this inn. The inn itself has suffered damage from what appears to be fireballs. They haven't really burned the inn so much as just dealt impact damage to it. There's a couple holes. Some stone structures to the north have completely crumbled, and it just seems like a generally unpleasant place to be. The red that you saw on the horizon while you were inside, turns out there's a brush fire far to the west. As far as you can tell, it looks to be normal Imperial City guards.
I'm gonna approach the nearest one, right here. And
as you do that, several knights and wizards move in from the other side of the inn. The knights create a formation to protect the wizards.
Alright.
The Telvanni wizard stepped outside and has left the rest of you in here. You can make him out, kind of, but you just see him next to some silhouettes. The difference in the lighting is too great.
To daintily step over the, like the burning ashes of the door and kind of just about step outside so I can get a proper view where I'll step as far as I can so that the lighting changes.
As you step outside, you see an army of Imperial soldiers and battle mages. A cluster of Imperial soldiers that are moving, a few of them to meet the Telvanni wizard, but others are gathering up at the south wall of the inn, getting ready for something. Currently, the Telvanni wizard is engaged with the 3 that have approached him directly, but there's more far off that are also approaching.
I'm going to wander over by his side, and then if they're already conversing, I'll listen in. Otherwise, I'll start up a conversation.
A few more Imperial guards start to trickle in. Little Fidgeter starts to kind of move over toward the door, but he takes up a stance, around the side. He doesn't really want to be seen, but he very much wants to see. And the orc very casually takes a couple steps forward.
I'm gonna leave as well.
The Imperial Guard immediately approaches the Telvanni wizard and says, "Stop right there, rebel scum! You traitors have been given quarter for far too long."
Do I look like a rebel to you? Since when does a Dunmer fight with these rebels? I'm not even from here.
The Count is a Dunmer. You could be one of his mercenaries, secretly aiding the Duke.
Excuse me, I am one of the Telvanni. I don't listen to any political nincompoop from here.
I say we kill him and figure out who's who by sorting the bodies, the battle mage says. You notice shuffling behind you as soldiers begin to trickle in. In the corner of your eye, you notice that a squad of soldiers seems to be pretty much behind you at this point.
I'm gonna utter a word. I'm gonna utter a word to Coltane and say, I suggest it's our time to leave.
I feel like we're in the middle of a fight, and I'm not sure which side to pick. So I don't see where you're going. So I'm gonna let you keep walking and maybe just hang back a bit.
The Imperials immediately engage this collection of knights, and the battle mages begin shooting firebolts at the knights as well. But the knights seem to be protected by spells from these wizards. And in general, it just seems like a cluster. But they have left a flank open for you to move south.
I'm going to take that route and head southwest through.
Do a runner.
I'm gonna do a runner. Simple as that. Cool. Well, I'm getting out of there.
The Argonian has fucked off.
See, I feel like you gave them a chance. You know, you went to approach them, and it just seems like this shit is getting bad now. It seems like a shame to leave those two guys in the tavern, but maybe we should kind of just shimmy on out of there and watch what unfolds.
Yeah, I'll agree and follow. I don't give two flying fucks about the people in the tavern. Really, I just want to get out of this whole thing. I have better things to do.
While you guys were thinking it over, the soldiers moved into a formation, and they're getting ready to attack the Imperial Guards from the north. While this is going on, the elf, followed by the orc, are just slowly waltzing out past the rubble, past the foliage there, and they're going north, right past the troop of soldiers. They seem to just they found their pocket to get out, and they're going.
Who's more interesting? Do we go after this Argonian, or do we follow these guys?
Far out. I don't know.
I feel like they could be important to the rebel cause.
Well, I feel like the only thing is the Duke doesn't like the elf, so we could turn on the Imperials and then help the Duke's men win against the Imperials, and then we can tip him off about the Duke off about this dude and get favor with it. So basically, with the Duke or something, we'll be able to get a little bit of leeway.
But there's one problem with that, is that we could get...
You're discussing this in front of Imperials. The Imperials are scratching their heads, like, because you made no attempt to hush your tones or anything like that. So what happened is that they're like, you're going to turn over an elf to the... You're on the Duke's side? Just as the Imperial Guard shouted that, the soldiers begin attacking from the north, and they pretty much get a immediate kill on two of the guards. The other guards rush in and create a line of defense. Additionally, down south, there have been losses just pretty much all over the place. An active war going on around you. You aren't involved in it because like the guys who just realized you were going to betray them, they're dead. They're dead. They've just been killed. So the rest of them are going to avenge their fallen. It's a war. It's on now. What you gonna do?
Well, chap, I'd suggest plan A, but let's hear you out.
Okay, look, I'm a knight. I can't just go up to these Imperials and stab them in the back. I appreciate if that's what you want to do. If you want to do that, great, but I think I'm going to go the way that Orc and that Bosma went. I think I'm going to go that way. You can come with me if you want. But I'm not stabbing anyone in the back.
I'm not going to follow the lizard, then fine. I'll follow you.
While you were yammering, a few more Imperial soldiers have come in from the way the Argonian was going. This whole platoon just came in, and it's pretty obvious that stuff is going to go down pretty soon, because it looks like the wizard is backing off to do something big, and the knights are coming to assist him.
I feel like we've got to be quick, otherwise
Look,
we're going to be
okay,
stuck
well,
here.
the thing is, if I use a chameleon and go, you're going to follow me, and then they're just going to follow you anyway, so
you would go and attack?
While you were discussing it, there is a lot more commotion going on down south. I mean, a lot more commotion. Like, you can hear blades chinking against one another. Let's frame this properly. You, a Telvanni wizard and a Breton knight, are standing there discussing the situation, whilst two armies are clashing, and while spells are flying, blood is soaking the ground. There's the smell of ash in the air, and you are sitting there talking casually.
Let's just run for it.
Yeah, let's run into the rubble
All right,
towards
fine.
the elf.
We're going to run for it. Let's just... Okay, we're just blitzing it.